to another episode of the Spiritual Investor Podcast. I guess I should get everything probably set up before I start. For those of you guys who've been following me on social media, or even in the newsletter, I've been in Costa Rica. Started the trip was going to be 7 days and it ended up being 28. I absolutely fell in love with it down there. I've now made some decisions about my life and all that, which I'll get into in a future episode. But right now I am just excited to be back here with you. I can see my camera is kind of like acting a little funny because I just reset everything up. So bear with me, but none of this really matters. What matters is connection. And that's what you guys are seeking. That's what I'm seeking. We're not even really caring that much about the money. What we want is we want connection. And when we feel connected, we can show up in the world needing nothing. I know I had this feeling yesterday, just being back here in Tennessee on the ranch with the horses. I had this feeling that I was looking around and everywhere I looked, everything just felt perfect. And I felt like I didn't need anything. I felt completely satisfied. In love, actually, it's very, very similar to that. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today, because I think as we go along and we get sort of more advanced into this unfolding of these conversations, the simplicity of it rises to the surface as well. The simplicity in all of this is we're just looking for love. And yes, that can mean romantic love. Yes, that can mean love, parent child, even my horses. That can mean love for ourselves. But effectively, if we zoom out and we go, well, the only energy that exists is love. And when we say we're moving towards greater consciousness, what we're doing is we're actually moving towards unconditional love. And for me, I feel like they're one and the same. I don't know that much about my human design. Obviously, I have really good friends. Emma is one of them, who's like a master in human design. So she's taught me a lot about it. But I guess I am the vessel of love. So I'm a MG, emotional authority 4/6 vessel of love. And I just feel like, and maybe you feel like this too, that like, is there anything more important than just cleaning ourselves up so that we can be in full love when we show up in the world? Because it's not just about the other person. That's when we're happiest as well. Why am I talking about this when this is the Spiritual Investor? This is a money podcast. Well, because they're one and the same. If I asked anyone out there, what do you think financial freedom is? Do you think it's about an amount, or do you think that it's just like never having to worry about money? Anyone that I know would say it's about not having to even think about money, right? And so imagine the love that you could put out there if you weren't encumbered, because it's not that you don't have that love in you. Of course, your source, you're full of, but it becomes encumbered by like siphoned, like you're standing on a water hose and the water can't get through, by your concern. And you can say fear and scarcity and all of that, which, it is that. But ultimately, even when you're not in fear and scarcity, you still have this low level concern of, well, did I make money today? Did I not make money today? Do I need to make money today? Do I need to pay this? Do I not? Do who I owe this to? Or I would like to have this, but I don't have enough. And so many of our conversations are about money that, to me, it's the best thing to work on. Like, I actually think that working on your money is the most spiritual thing you can do, because the other things you're just going to do by default. Like, you're going to do your breath work and you're going to do your meditation and you're going to do your yoga, and that's all great. But I think we almost have to, if that's become our default, then we don't need to put the energy and focus on that. Where do we need to put our energy and focus if we want to actually expand into this new version? Well, you've heard me talking about breaking the structure. And that's one of the reasons I stayed in Costa Rica, is that when we're in our habitual, normal life, it's very difficult to have the space for anything new to come in. And if you don't have the space for something new to come in, then you can't actually observe that and see, is that part of the new version of me? Like, no one could have told me that I am now going to spend several months a year of my life in Costa Rica before I went. In fact, so many people had said Costa Rica is beautiful. And I was like, how many years have I just been putting off going there? And finally I was like, okay, let me give this a try. Well, now it's like I experienced it. I also, um, configured my life so that I could stay longer. That gave me the space I met a lot of people down there. I met a lot of local people. I established new relationships. We have, new plans down there. I, what it did was it gave me the space to dream and to think. And, it's interesting because I just came back 2 days ago to the US. And yesterday I met with the event team and so the spiritual investor is starting a whole new business unit that I've been wanting to do for years. Now, I did start this before Costa Rica, but yesterday I came to them with a whole new, brand new design for this new business unit, and everyone was excited. You know why? Because it was a win-win situation. And I would say we've all got our superpowers, but one of mine is going out there and creating a win-win situations, and I think that the more that we create win-win situations, the more we see that we don't have to think about money. So when I mentioned, like, okay, you want to get to that point where you don't think about money, what if you did that on a micro level and you looked at the things that you have going on now? So instead of your resistance against the circumstances, you're looking at them, how can I create a win-win? So my resistance against doing in-person events for the last couple of years has been that I didn't feel like I didn't have the bandwidth. My team is busy doing other things, and they didn't really seem that keen on, researching it. They weren't jazzed about it. And I felt like I would be kind of pushing something on them. Yet um, I didn't feel called to go out there and just hire some company that I had no connection with and all that. And so what I did is I just left it. And what happened is people, they've been mentioning along the way, can you do an in-person event? We'd love to come to a spiritual investor event. Well, what happened is I was on this podcast. I was interviewed by these two amazing women, and they were like, at the end, they were like, can you have a private event? Like, could we help you with this? And I said, actually, I have been wanting to do that. And they're like, great, we've been wanting to do this in general, but we really want to do this and partner with you. Well, here we go. We're off to the races now. And I won't even go into the detail of how all the other stuff like was already in motion, even with like the structure of the business. And it's just like all sort of fell in line. And then what all I had to do was dream and vision and then come back with a win-win situation that was based on not necessarily the way I envisioned it when I was like thinking of this in Costa Rica, but it was based on listening to them. It was based on listening to me. It was based on listening to my team. What is that? What is that when you're listening to someone, like truly listening to them? That's love, you know? And I think that, it's so easy for us to say, I love someone, especially in a romantic relationship. I love this person. But are you really loving them if you're not listening to them? And if you're not practicing listening and truly loving when you're at home in your everyday daily life, what makes you think you're going to be able to go out there and be unconditional love when you're in front of that person that you feel like you're here to help? Like, if you can't be it at home, how are you going to be it there? And so there's a lazy aspect to us. There's also this structure and this sort of conditioned way that we see love. And this has really been something that I have been going through, which is seeing a relationship as being a certain way, but being under the realization that, hey, the world is different now. Like, I'm not in a traditional relationship where it's like, I've got to get married and I've got to have kids and somebody has the job and somebody takes care of the kids and all that. So, but what had happened to me is that some of the conditioning of that structure was left over. And it really took a long time for me to realize, well, maybe that doesn't fully apply here. But then there was this part of me that's like, but I want that. But I need that to support my life. And then I had to go, well, then who is that about? And do I need that? Or am I just being lazy with it that I really don't? So then what it did is it caused me to look at, what is love? Well, then it caused me to look at, how do I fold money into this? I did a whole episode on calibrating to the money that you want. And so listen to that episode if you haven't, but basically it's, how are you just like, almost like I feel like you're kind of like going into the water instead of like jumping in the cold river. You're kind of easing your way in, and you're doing it in a way that is, whether it's enjoyable or not, we're not going to go there. It is a way that is more energetically in tune and doesn't throw you completely like into like erratic nervous system, right? Because I think that's what people feel, a lot of pressure. They're like, okay, I want to make $1 million by the end of the year. Well, you don't. Then you go into, I don't know. And then you go into, well, how am I going to do this? Because I have this set schedule with the kids. I have this set schedule with money, blah, blah, blah. And it feels like you're running into a wall. Well, if you're calibrating, I'm kind of intermingling money and love here because I'm really trying to emphasize that they are the same thing. So for me, this calibrating into, what is real love? Like, can I have a relationship that is an even greater selfless love than I've ever had before, right? What a good goal to have. If I fold money into that, then I go, one of the things that I love is I love being able to buy gifts for and being able to support the person that I'm with. I've always loved that. And now I'm like, how can I have that where their life is even easier? Because I'm in really great flow with money. I've always been in great flow with money. And for me, it's very much like turning up a dial. I was just looking at our revenue sheet in the Spiritual Investor, and it is pretty amazing that we have a certain level of recurring revenue that even when I'm in Costa Rica for 28 days, that recurring revenue is just going to come in, and it is a function of just the groups that we've built in the community and the content. And I'm still working when I'm doing these things, but it doesn't feel like work to me. Like, I've done mastermind calls. We did an amazing live workshop that was just so elevating. So I've gotten it to a point where the revenue that comes in, the recurring revenue, amazing. And then I'm adding on these different business units. And also, we do things where we have spikes in revenue. So we run 3 masterminds a year. The masterminds are always full. That's probably one of the most transformative masterminds that I have seen out there. And I know I'm a little biased, but even if you ask the people in there, and we're in enrollment now. So there's spots left for people to get into the Spiritual Investor Mastermind and to actually completely transform their entire life and become a new money version of you. Like, where do you really want to be by the end of this year? And you get to actually choose it and design it inside the Spiritual Investor Mastermind with my guidance, right? It's actually priceless. It's 12 weeks of condensed, like, you letting go of who you were and stepping into this unconditional love where money is not an issue for you anymore. Because imagine the conversations you can have about that. Imagine the energy and the lightness that you can show up with in life, right? So anyways, going back to this love, money, energy thing. What if you stopped thinking about money as this thing that like is distant from you and that you need and it's survival and you have to have and you're judging yourself for it, and instead You actually decided to, how do I show up with pure love? And then I calibrate money into that. So let's go through that. I'm the one who's talking, so I'll use myself as an example. So I am in a relationship right now where I I'm learning how to love more deeply inside of this relationship. It's been challenging. It hasn't been like my marriage was so easy. I was married to such a kind, wonderful human. And it was kind of like a bed of feathers for me, my marriage, you know. Well, now I get into more of a prickly, I'm going to hold up the mirror and show you all of the parts about yourself that you don't really believe are there and you don't really want to see. And so I've been going through that, but it's been a cleaning up effect. And I won't say I'm on the other side of it. I'm somewhat on the other side of it with, well, I'm a much more open conduit now, which is coming back here into the content and the work. It's also coming back into the relationship in terms of creating a win-win situation would be where, like, getting their world, like, where are they? Independent of where I need them to be. And so because I've chosen, okay, well, let me practice this, what I also see happening is uh, everything I do in the company is easier. Like even just the adding on the event team, like that was easy. I'm writing a book, so and I won't even go into because that's a whole other story. How the most miraculous connection came with my literary agent. So it's like all these things are unfolding, you guys, and I'm still, enjoying my life in Costa Rica. I came home and I was riding horses. Like I rode horses last night and it was just the sunset in the background. Now, I'm not going to say that everything in my life is actually perfect because one could see these things in my life and go, well, maybe that's not perfect, right? But if you can formulate coming back into the now and going, well, it's okay. Not everything's going great with the spiritual investor team. A lot of the people, my team, the people on my team, they're having, some personal issues. And so that is affecting the workflow and that is affecting the way that, they're being challenged. And so I'm showing up as a new leader. So, someone would say, well, maybe that is a problem. Well, maybe it's not. Also, I have this big property here and I'm not here a lot. And sometimes things go wrong and like the water heater goes out and right? Like, so, but I guess I'm just at a point where why are these things a problem? And if I'm seeing it as a problem, then I'm just creating more problems for myself, right? In fact, if I am just with whatever is right now, and I choose to see the perfection of what is right now, where is the perfection in my relationship? Where is the perfection in my gorgeous horses who are at the perfect age and they are perfectly trained? And I can go out there fully relaxed, take 5 minutes to throw a saddle on, throw my leg over, and just ride with like literally like down the tree line of the land. Like there's perfection in that. Some of my friendships actually have gone sideways, and I've never had that happen in my life because typically myself and friends, and we're just kind of all in sync with each other. But I have been less available because I have been focused on work and I have been focused on my relationship. And so I have been, and I have disappointed people. And so someone would say, maybe that is not perfect. And that's something that I get to go and clean up, if you will. I am also a very, very focused human. So I'm kind of like, whatever I go all in on, I'm 200%. And kind of the other stuff has a tendency to kind of like either not be addressed or fall away in my life. And that creates, sometimes people can take that personal. Like, I'm giving you kind of a smorgasbord, and hopefully, I'm not telling you this because I need to talk about myself. I'm telling you this because I also want you to see that you're not actually a hot mess, even though you might feel like a hot mess. You are actually at the perfect position. And if you will lean into, you are at the perfect position, and you will give up your old definitions of money and let the new definition of love come in, and you are willing to equate that, what is to be looked at inside of that, right? I've talked a lot about this stuff in the live workshop. So by the way, if you want to join the SI Club, it's the $17 a month, and you want to join some of these live workshops, I would say that's probably, if you're looking for like low hanging fruit, best bang for your buck, I would definitely think about something like that. Um, Also, I did want to talk to you and kind of bring you guys into opportunities for the market. So right now we just had a lowering of interest rates. We could have two more possibly talking about in 2026. What that's done is it's given some energy. It's brought some, I mean, not that the market really needed it. The market was doing well anyways, but I just started an investing account for someone that I care about. I started it in June, and we checked it the other day, and it was up 21%. And so in 3 months, right? These are stocks, by the way, that I give you, you have access to inside of the mastermind. Because when you come in there, it's all about building an intelligent portfolio and not having to wait and take the time to do it. It's just like, go ahead, just get it out of the way. But the market was already doing great. But I feel like for you guys, I don't want you standing on the sidelines, no matter what. No matter what you decide to do, if you work with me or work with somebody else, or no one at all. I really want you to see that expanding money is actually part of just a way of being now. The cost of living, where it is, and just where we are economically as far as income, cost of living. Some people have debt. By the way, don't wait to invest if you have debt. You live in an and world. Figure out how to do both. The worst thing that people have done is put off investing to pay off debt. And I know that goes against every financial person just about out there, but I've been preaching that for 3 years, and I'm still going to keep preaching it, that you need to be expanding money no matter what. Figure out ways to do all of it. Expanding, becoming the money conduit. And I've talked a lot about that. I talk about that on the calls as well. So what you really want to be doing is you want to see this as the market is positioned really, really positioned well right now. So in terms of this whole love money conundrum thing, if you guys are willing to take this on, so look at, like, go vertical on your life right now in terms of, how can I look at these circumstances and like switch it, almost like you've got a coffee cup and you want to switch it the other way? How can I switch it into seeing the perfection of it and creating a win-win situation? And I mean a win-win. I mean, it is like, if the whole thing goes wrong, everybody's going to end up okay. If the whole thing goes right, everybody's going to benefit. I'm talking like a true win-win. See how you can do that with situations in your life, circumstances in your life, that will give you an opportunity to show up in unconditional love. You're not really showing up in unconditional love if it's biased towards you. So think of it in terms of that. Once you do that, you will start feeling your own connection, and you'll start feeling your own joy. And what will happen is that will be a momentum in itself. Once that happens, your frequency is going to rise, and you're going to start seeing these opportunities, just like I have with the book and with the events and all of that. You're going to start seeing these opportunities come into your life, and money is going to start coming in a more effortless way. I mean, I bought a rental property last year, and it was the first one I bought without my wife. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm so glad I did that. So glad I did. In fact, I was opening the mail this morning, this pile of mail has been sitting there for a month. And I actually have the money deposited into like just a little local bank here. And I was like, wow, look at all the money that has accumulated in that account, because I don't do anything with that account. And it's like, I've not forgotten about it, but it's just like seeing this asset just continue to generate. These are the kind of things that I guide you guys into starting, and that I can help you um, get in the flow of. Because honestly, you get 3 to 5 assets, and they don't even have to be huge. I'm not even talking about, you don't have to have a lot of money to start doing this. You just have to have um, the desire to do it. Once you do this and you actually start seeing things that are working, you start feeling your own power of independence and the empowerment of, okay, I can call money in. Wow, this is new money that I didn't have before. Wow, this is reoccurring income. Then what happens is you're like, oh my gosh, and you build on top of it and build on top of it. It's one of the reasons that wealthy people keep getting wealthier because it's easier for them. Well, first of all, it's normal, but also like they have the stakes are not as high, right? And also when you feel so good about it already, it just starts to feel easy and you're like, let me just pile on and pile on. So I would say that's also probably one of the biggest advantages of getting in the mastermind. And a lot of people go, I'm not ready. Okay. Well, first of all, you don't know that you're not ready. Who's saying you're not ready? It's the old version of you. And when you go into the mastermind, you're going in so that you actually connect to and become the new version. So another advantage though is that you really, I would say, I mean, you do have a choice, but you don't. You're going to be the new version of you. And you're going to have the uncomfortable moments, and we're halfway through it, and so um, I love like the connection that all the people have and that I have with them, and just being able to see them now go out into the world. um, they're different in their business, but they're investors. They're telling me what the returns are on their account. I'm like, wow, amazing. Like, in some ways I feel like I'm kind of like learning from them. So, okay. This definitely was a coming together of kind of all the concepts. I feel like this is almost like a part one. I think we're going to continue this on. Let me know. You guys have been sending me amazing messages on Instagram. DM me and let me know if any questions are coming up from this episode because I'd love to help you even more. And also, what is your take on this? I've gotten some really incredible messages from you guys about some of the recent episodes. I've got some magical things happening in my life that I can't wait to share with you, but I'm also careful to not, I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to, if there's something relevant that I think is going to help you. Um, but we are in a portal opening. I mean, we are in like sort of like the last part of the year. And I want you to see this as the biggest opportunity that you have ever had in your life. You have never been more powerful than you are now. And so completely step outside of time. Don't look at this as only 3 months to the year. Look at this as how can you go all in? How can you go vertical? And how can you be outside of time to the point where you are literally at Christmas, you are looking back on your life and you are effing blown away. Like, desire that for Christmas, to be looking back on this and going, holy shit, that was amazing. Because you can literally have the feeling that you have done in 3 months what you used to do in 3 years because we are in such an accelerated time. But that's also working against you as well. That acceleration factor is also, if you're not going vertical, is also taking you, it's becoming stronger, stronger, stronger in the other direction. There's never been a time that is more key to cut the shit, cut the laziness, cut the letting yourself get away with stuff. Put yourself in an environment where you can truly meet that new source version of you, and you will not worry about money. You will have all the love that you want, and you will wake up every day and go out into the world, and people will say, I love being around you. I love your energy, because that's actually what you're seeking. All right. So much love to you guys. I'll see you on the next episode.